The video lesson today is going to be about loops in Python. The first one we are going to take a closer look at is a for loop. A for loop typically uses a variable known as the counter or the index to keep track of how many times the loop has been executed, and it stops when the counter, or in other words the index, reaches a certain number. So for example, let's declare a variable called n, and let's assign the value which is going to be entered by the user. So we are going to use the int class. It is because you cannot implicitly convert a string to an int. So input, let's use the input method, and let's say enter a number. Okay, now we are going to use the for keyword. For I, that's the variable. We usually call the variable of for loop I because that's the index, so you can call it I for short. In, and there is a built-in called range, which takes an integer and returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. So if we take n, it is going to return 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's print I and run the program. You see, 0, 1, 2, 3, because it takes, the range built-in takes n, which is an integer, and it returns, as you can see, it returned a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. Okay, if you want to include 4, you can specify the start and the stop. So let's say 1 n plus 1. We should add 1 to n in order to include 4, because, as I said, it takes the integer and returns a list of numbers from 0 to 1 less than the given integer. So now it should return 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so far so good. Now, okay, so let's, for example, figure out how many submultiples a certain number has. A submultiple is a kind of divisor by which a number can be divided without any remainder. So let's say, let's say if n mod, the mod operator returns the remainder after a number is divided by a divisor. So n mod I, if n mod I is equal to 0, so if the remainder is 0, in other words, if the remainder is 0, we need another variable. Let's declare another variable called s and assign an initial value to it, which is going to be 0. So in that case, we should increment the value of s by 1. So s plus equal to 1. This is the add and assign assignment operator. And last but not least, let's print the number you just entered has you can use the plus operator. You can also use it to concatenate a string to a string, because in Python you can only concatenate a string to a string. So now we should use the string class submultiples. Okay, so let's run the program. Let's see if it works just fine. Okay, 4. The number you just entered has 3 submultiples. That's true because 1, 2 and 4 are the submultiples of 4. Okay, let's try another number, 10. The number you just entered has 4 submultiples. That's also true. Now let's take a closer look at a while loop. A while loop doesn't use a variable to count. Instead, it keeps running as long as a condition is true. So I'm going to delete these lines. So let's say while, let's use the while keyword, while n is greater than 0. Let's add the numbers from 1 to n. So s plus equal to n, and we should subtract 1 from n each time the loop is executed. So n minus equal 1. You know, these are the add and assign and subtract and assign assignment operators. And let's say print the number you just entered. I simply, let's say s. Okay, yeah. So let's run the program. That's correct, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. Okay, now let me show you another variable. It's actually an advanced data type. It's a list. So let me show you a list. A list is very similar to an array. An array is a group of variables which has the same name and data type. The only difference between an array and a list is that a list can be of different types. So, as I said, it's a more advanced data type. To declare a list is very simple. You use these square braces like this, and you simply give the number of items, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's use the for loop again. So for I in n. Now let's run the program. 10. That's correct, because 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. Thank you for watching.